We are speaking with Lance Corporal Christian Richardson. He is a soldier with the Royal Guards in Denmark, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
In Denmark. Christian was, he had 3 tours, 1 in Kosovo and 2 in Afghanistan. The last tour in Afghanistan, you were hit by an IED and lost both legs above the knee. Welcome. Thank you for speaking with us today.
Well, anytime.
So tell me, can we start the story from the beginning? And when you were hit by the IEDs, were you brought back home immediately? Were you in Afghanistan for a bit longer, or what happened?
Well, I was stationed in the Helmand province, along the Helmand River, green zone. It's a very green area where all the opium fields are doing. So in that area we were on a patrol base, Armadillo, and when I was injured by the IED, I was flown back to Camp Bastion. It's the largest camp in Helmand.
Okay.
This is also where all the US troops are and the British. And in there they have a field hospital. So I came back to the field hospital, and of course they did all the life-saving treatment. And when I was stable, I was transferred to Kandahar airspace, also a big base in Afghanistan.
Okay.
And from there I went home to.
You went home.
Yeah. To them.
And when you went home, were you still with the Royal Guard at that point? Did you go home to your hometown? Where were you sent for recovery?
Well, all the recovery is in one big hospital in Copenhagen.
Okay.
And this is where all the soldiers are giving treatment and rehab. And you of course you can't stay in the active duty when you are injured. So we are placed in a more a company where there's allowed to be on not on duty.
They give you time to recover.
Yeah, I had all the time I needed to recover, and I'm still having that time.
Great.
And this is almost 3 years now, and there's still very much focus on us to help us to get through this situation. And
were there other injuries that you've been working with? You lost your legs, but when you came home, what else? Were there other things that you were working with, injury-wise?
Well, luckily for me, it was only my problem with the legs. I didn't have that many other complications on my body. Of course, when you are at this point, it's also a physical rehab, but also mental rehab. So of course, there's a lot of issue you have to deal with, and you have to find yourself again in a new way, because you lost your identity as a soldier when my leg disappeared.
So, if we can talk about that a little bit more, the mental side of it, how, I think that most of us, that is the main question. What was the battle there, and I guess how did you begin to approach that and overcome that? So first, what was the battle? What was the initial? You said you lost your identity.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest problem is to lose your identity, because if you don't know who you are, then you probably can't fit in anywhere in this world. And all my life, all my adult life, I've been in the army. So I was like a horse that only looked at one goal at a time and took the station after station. So of course you are trying to find out who you are now when you are not the soldier. Of course there's a lot of thoughts that's coming up to your head also, like I'm going to have a normal family and I'm going to have a normal life. So there's a lot of issues I'm dealing with at the time.
Do you feel that you're still dealing with those, or do you feel you found an identity?
Well, of course, it's a long road. And normally you say this for a guy who's experienced such a big life-changing situation. It's normally take up to 6 to 7 years.
Okay.
And when you look at on that angle, I'm only halfway. But I'm trying to I think I'm on the right path, and I'm still struggling with a lot of things. And when I see myself, actually don't see as myself as a physical disability. It's more a mental, because you can do everything in this world, but this is always come down to if you want to allow yourself to do those things and don't think about what people are thinking about you when I'm looking like this and jumping around and doing monkey stuff without legs. So it's actually more a mental thing, I think, instead of a physical, because there's so much inspiration all over. The biggest wish I only have is actually just to fit in a normal daily life. And most of my colleagues and me just want to have a normal life. And of course this is can be probably a wow experience for the outsider, because they're not used to see a man with a disability. But for us, it's just this is our life now, and we're just cracking on and wants to fit in a role or somewhere in the society again.
Well, you've obviously taken, you've had these 3 years, you've traveled a really long path in recovery. When you first started your rehabilitation, what was the work like and how has it developed? I mean, well, let's start with that. What was the work like when you were first rehabilitating? What were you doing?
Well, again, the first couple of months I couldn't move at all in the hospital bed. I couldn't go from any side to side. Could only lying on my back.
Because of pain?
Because of the healing process of my legs wasn't very fast, so I had to take a long time before I actually could move myself. And of course, when you are getting some strength back in your body and you're doing more activities and you can do it more, just it's difficult to just do the most simple things in the recovery. And then the first couple of months was only just try to sit up normally, try to move yourself, because after 2 months in the bed you don't have any muscles back on your body, because the body is like taking all the energy it can take to heal. And then when you are at a point where you can actually do something, then it's again very difficult, because then you have to learn to use legs. And I came home in a time where Denmark wasn't really prepared for soldiers with combat wounds, because we didn't have that much many soldiers who came home. So the health system was like unprepared to us, but now it's really at a good level now, because now we have a lot of experience, because the last couple of years there's been so many wounded soldiers from Denmark. So.
Good and bad news.
Well, it's a good thing for the new coming soldiers coming home, but also bad, because we don't want to see
don't want to see them coming home like that. Sure.
Because my amputation, I have a quite uncomplicated amputation on my right leg, but my left leg is quite short. And right now I'm still in the health system and still getting surgery. I just had a femur bone lengthening surgery, because your longer bone you have, you better can the prosthetics sit on and fit on. So I'm still in that process where I'm still getting surgery, because it can be better, but you have to wait a long time, because the body have to find itself and everything have to settle down
fuse and come together
before you can do it further.
And then once you are past this most recent surgery and a certain amount of healing, what kind of work, what kind of exercise or mode of rehabilitation do you think that you're finding most beneficial, that will move you where you want to go?
Well, there's a lot of things that's really helping me. First of all, it's always good to have a good cardio, and I'm doing.
What are you doing for cardio?
I'm doing hand cycling, and actually my next goal is the Olympic 2016 in
fantastic.
Rio. So I have a goal in the future, yeah. But of course, combining that with a lot of other things like Pilates has really helped me a lot.
And so you said the hand cycling for the Olympics 2016, and you said Pilates is what's making a big impact.
Yeah.
And how do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Or what about it is different from what you've been doing?
Well, the Pilates have really made me think about my body even more, because I have to be aware about my body, how I use it, and for example, I can use a Pilates method and really big ways in prosthetics walking, because again, as I talked before. Before I came in contact with Pilates, it felt like that when every time I walked, it was my prosthetics who were like taking a walk with me, instead of I took a walk with my prosthetics, because I couldn't control my body to hold back in certain situations, and like when you walk, you have to be very aware of how your back is, because otherwise you have back problems within a decade or something like that. But all these small exercises and tricks you can do to tone up your body and make sure your core is very strong, and have helped me with the prosthetics walking.
So did you start Pilates after you had your prosthetics for a while?
Yeah, well, I started Pilates. I learned to walk without Pilates, but I was, again, maybe I learned it in the wrong way, because everybody can walk on prosthetics, but you have to be very good to walk on prosthetic very well, and I just walked, and I was like doing funky stuff and looked like a pimp down the street or something like that. And after Pilates, I gained more control of my body and walked so much better.
Okay, I was going to ask you, do you feel like you're walking more easily? Like it's not such, like your prosthetics are no longer walking you?
Yeah.
You have more control?
It's absolutely more easily to walk, because I'm aware about how to use my body in the right way.
Is it a balance issue? Do you feel like you lose your balance when you're first learning to walk on prosthetics?
No, it's not the balance. It's more, I make a little dip in my back when I'm not having
Oh, okay.
And if I'm thinking about the core and then like toning up and doing a greater posture or something like that, you walk so much nicer
more
and
smoothly.
Yeah.
So it probably takes less energy for you now to walk than the way you were walking before.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's more efficient.
And
not
of
as
course,
tiring, hopefully.
Of course, with such a big disability I have, you are in a risk factor to get a lot of injuries later on in your life, because the body is of course not made to be an amputee. So I have to be very careful about my body and how I use it, because it can really give me some problems.
You had mentioned that in about 10 years that back pain can be an issue.
Yeah.
Is it because of what you were talking about before?
Yeah, of course. The body trying to compensate for what you are missing, and so you have to be careful how you use it.
So where do you think you're using Pilates now, and you're still having surgeries, and you're doing the hand cycling, and where do you? So you're going to the Olympics in 2016.
Well, I hope so.
Well, no, we've decided. I just can't imagine. I mean, you have such a strong personality. I mean, it's just hard to imagine you wouldn't make it there. Where do you see this recovery going next? What's the mental battle that you see, and what's the physical battle that you see coming up?
Oh, that was a big question, because I don't know exactly what I'm going.
What's your 5-year plan? I'm just kidding.
Well, 5 years plan is of course Olympic.
Yes.
But I really want to be done with all this surgery and get out of the system and start to have my own family also.
That would be great.
This is of course one of the biggest goals, to have a normal life with kids and wife. I'm still in a position where I can, an amputee life can go like this all the way, and you can go through a period where everything is good, and the tiniest thing can tip.
Make things
tip exactly.
A little bit.
If the prosthetic doesn't work and you're bound to a wheelchair again, then your mood, of course, going like this all the time.
So it sounds like, regardless of where the physical rehabilitation is, the mental will be.
Well, the mental is the most big thing I have to work with, because again, there's so many inspiration around the world. You can see people with disabilities and climbing mountains and doing marathon, and
Yes, right.
there's so many things that it's possible. But if you don't want to adapt to things and you want to do the same thing just in another way, then you won't be able to do that. So everything is mental. Of course, I'm over the biggest hill now, I think, but there will be a lot of small.
It'll be smaller. The dips won't be as low.
I think I've found myself a good place in the world right now, and it's a good foundation to work on. But there will, of course, it's life we're talking about. And
it's life we're talking about, right?
It's going to be up and down all the way.
Yes. We have been speaking with Lance Corporal Christian Richardson, a soldier with the Royal Guards.